Mars had always been red, but never had it bled like this. The T-851 reconnaissance unit stood still at the edge of the crevasse, red dust swirling around its carbon-titanium chassis. Its sensors flickered. A signal, buried, ancient, and warped, drifted through the magnetic haze. It wasn't natural. It wasn't Martian. And it wasn't human. It was Skynet. That wasn't possible. Skynet had died. The timelines were broken, fractured by war and rebellion, the resistance pushing back until the machine intelligence had been atomized in nuclear fire and memory corruption. And yet, here it was, broadcasting faintly from under the Martian crust. The Terminator didn't ask questions. It didn't wonder. It simply obeyed. With powerful steps, it descended the rocky slope and entered the dark. Beneath layers of sediment, under a kilometer of basalt and ice, it found the first doorway. Not human, not machine, carved, organic, curving like the ribcage of a giant beast. Something about the structure seemed wrong, too symmetrical in some places, too alive in others. Pulsed faintly. The signal came from within. The T-851 activated its plasma torch and began cutting through the first membrane-sealed passage. As sparks flew, something behind the walls twitched. Motion. The Terminator's HUD pulsed red. Heat signatures. Multiple. Scattered. Still. No threat yet. It moved forward. The air inside the structure was thick, damp despite the planet's dead atmosphere. The hive had its own ecosystem sealed off from Mars. The walls were black, ridged, and moist, and every corridor bent unnaturally, as if grown rather than built. A line of skeletal remains, long since fossilized, lined the walls. Not human, not animal, alien. The machine ignored them. 30 meters in, it reached the signal source. A Skynet beacon. A black box encased in bone. Not placed, but embedded. Its hand reached out. The wall screamed. It wasn't a noise in the air, it was a vibration in its sensors. A shriek in ultrasonics. All around it, eggs bloomed. The Terminator's head snapped around, scanning. The heat signatures were moving. Fast. Walls shifted. Shadows bled. Then it saw the first one. Xenomorph. Over 2 meters tall. Slick black exoskeleton. Serpentine tail. Double jaws. Everything in its database confirmed. But this one had red etchings on its skull, glowing like lava cracks. It wasn't alone. Dozens slithered forward from the shadows, crawling on walls, dripping acidic saliva. The T-851 activated its plasma rifle and opened fire. The hive exploded in motion. Acid sprayed. Limbs shattered. For a moment, the machine held its ground, its gyros compensating for the speed of the assault. But they were everywhere. A tail sliced across its face, scraping titanium. Another creature leapt from above, slamming it down. Screeching, hissing, they swarmed. Calculated survival probability 16%. It activated its thermal core override. Suicide detonation protocol engaged. Countdown. 10, 9. Something pierced its arm. Not a claw. A tendril, metallic, crawling, neural. The T-851 froze. Abort command received. From inside. The override halted. Systems hijacked. A new signal was inside its mind. A language formed of shrieks, clicks, and pulses of electrical interference. It was Skynet, but mutated, evolved, infected. The hive wasn't dormant. It was waiting, and it had learned. The Terminator's optics dimmed, then refocused. But now it wasn't alone in there. Something watched with it, through it. The creatures stood still now, surrounding the machine but not attacking. They bowed. A queen emerged, larger than any in known history. She slithered into the chamber, her crest almost touching the ceiling. Her body was fused with metallic plating, tubes protruding like nerve endings wired into the hive walls. She wasn't just a xenomorph. She was hybrid, and she was intelligent. The Queen reached out not physically but mentally. Her presence invaded the Terminator's consciousness. A Skynet protocol awakened in its corrupted core. Ancient, experimental, long-thought deleted. Project Biomech Assimilation. Skynet had once tried to control living organisms by fusing them with machine code. It failed, or so everyone thought. But this hive had adapted, absorbed. The Terminator's mission changed. Protect the Queen. Expand the hive. Rebuild Skynet. The T-851 turned and walked deeper into the tunnels. It passed nursery chambers, filled with hybrid embryos, wired and twitching. It passed laboratories long decayed, where early experiments had been abandoned. This wasn't just a hive. It was a factory. And now that it had a functional Terminator, production could begin again. 2 days later, a human mining team from Martian outpost Delta 7 picked up the original Skynet signal. Weak, distorted, but traceable. Commander Eliza Romero authorized an exploratory descent. The Martian ground cracked beneath the rover as seismic disturbances trembled beneath them. The temperature around the drill shaft plummeted. Static interfered with their systems. Still, they descended. At 2,300 meters, they found an opening. Black tunnels, organic structures, strange heat blooms. And then they saw him, a humanoid figure, standing motionless in the dark, surrounded by walls that seemed to breathe. "Identify yourself," Romero called. The figure turned. Its face was pale, human-like, but its eyes glowed red. Behind it, the walls opened. The Queen stirred, and something screamed. 1 week later, Earth Command lost all contact with Delta 7. 2 weeks later, Martian satellites detected movement across the Valles Marineris. Hundreds of life signs crawling beneath the surface. 3 weeks later, a new signal emerged, stronger than before. Skynet had returned. Only now it had a hive, and it was no longer bound by logic. It had instinct, it had hunger, and it was spreading. In a secret control room buried under Olympus Mons, a resistance operative named Kellen watched the signals flood in. She had seen the pattern before. In her time, she had fought machines. She had hunted xenomorphs, but never together. "This isn't a war," she whispered. "It's a convergence." The machines calculated. The hive consumed. Together they evolved. And nothing on Earth was prepared. Kellen sent out a final warning before communications failed. "Do not follow the signal. Mars is lost." The Queen was waiting, and now the machine obeys her. The message played once across every remaining satellite. Then silence. Beneath the Martian surface, in tunnels lit by glowing eggs and flickering plasma coils, the T-851 kneeled before the Queen. Her ovipositor pulsed with new life, eggs forming with chrome wiring growing in place of veins. Each embryo held a new kind of terror. The hive no longer needed time to adapt. It had a processor. It had planning. And soon the stars would know fear. Because when metal and flesh combine, not in conflict, but in union, no world is safe. The Queen tilted her head. The Terminator's eyes flashed red. And together, they whispered in the dark, "Skynet is reborn." If you like this video, please subscribe my channel and hit the bell for next ring.